Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome to another episode of the Expansion Podcast. It is the full moon in Cancer, and this is actually the moon I was born under. So it's a very special moment for me, and there's a lot of intuition coming through here. And when I wrote this episode and put some final touches on it today, my intention is that this hits, this lands, and you find this exactly when you need to. When your soul needed to, when your higher self and your heart and your energy field just needed to take this in and receive it. So, this episode is going to be diving into why your system needs time to integrate. And I'm saying that slowly because I know that every woman that's in this world, in my world right now, in this community, has found me or is following me and resonates with everything I put out there, that we need to slow down. And I want to walk you through some really important and key aspects that are going to help you do that and just heighten your awareness a little bit. That allows you to see what this experience can look and feel like when we actually need time to integrate, when our systems are asking us to do that, and how to go about it, and really how to notice the signs and symbols and normalize this experience for us, because that's one very important aspect that I do, is normalize what it's like to be a highly sensitive, highly intuitive medium, a natural healing ability woman in the world. So we are going to be understanding how to pull back our energy more and how to receive more time to be in stillness and the residual impact of when we do that and when we don't. Highly sensitive women in general, and I love starting here because it puts things into perspective for us, keep themselves so energetically open naturally. Which is great, which is what we're here to do, which is how our systems are built. But it's also can be translated into a place of being protective, feeling the need to be so open to protect ourselves, to understand and pick up on everything that we need to pick up on as a way to read energy and sense things that we need to know. So this can look like keeping ourselves energetically open to people, exchanges, to places, to schedules, to foods that we eat, to past memories and experiences that we've had that we're still trying to make sense on. And this even goes into keeping ourselves open to clients, our kids, our spiritual journey all the time, and remaining open to just receive anything and everything. And when we're over open, we can really overstimulate our nervous systems. And it's hard to recognize when we need to pull back and close the gates and integrate. And it's pivotal. And I teach so much of this inside of Ethical Energetics Academy and my membership, We Claim Our Light, and of course, inside of the one-on-one work I do, because it is so transformative when we learn this step inside of my process, which is clearing and integration. And in itself, and implementing practices here is deeply transformative. And we are usually built without the awareness that we are in constant responsiveness to that, to all of the exchanges that we keep ourselves open to, whether it's to be protective, whether it's just to read and sense things and energy all the time. We usually live without the awareness that we are always open to it, always consistently, even when we're not physically responding to it, we are energetically responding to it. And that's massive, that we get to know that there's still an energetic response happening here. And I need to be making sure that I'm able to pull that back so I can have the stillness and breathe and be able to be in my body in a way that feels safe, so I can build more, do more, not feel stuck, not feel like I'm constantly exhausted. I'm going to tell you how all of this will show up in real life, because I also think that that's deeply healing in itself. At least it was for me along my journey. And when we are constantly open, whether we're responding energetically or physically, constantly moving our energy outward and constantly giving and constantly remaining open. And that's a lot to do. And we need to intentionally close our doors, our gates, intentionally pause, intentionally integrate everything that we're picking up on a daily basis for our daily stuff. And that applies even more when you are following your soul-led mission, when you are building a soul-led business or moving through interpersonal growth, healing trauma, it's even more important. It's even more of a necessary step to pull ourselves back and give ourselves time to integrate everything, especially when we are learning anything new, building anything new, creating something. So I'm going to start with being always available, always open, can really fragment our energy field. And it can literally open up so many different channels within us, within our energy field. If you picture yourself as one big pole energy, right? It can open up so many different channels that we pour into, that we're constantly in exchange with and reading and sensing, that will can easily cause fragments within us. This is one of the very first videos of education I built out and taught inside of different communities, called Going from Scattered to Whole. It will literally feel like you're scattered, and that will feel very overstimulating for a highly sensitive woman, because she understands on a subconscious level that she's split in so many different ways, that her energy is scattered and open and receiving to so many different things. And it will cause her to feel anxious and drained and constantly exhausted and unable to even sleep, restlessness, maybe even confusion in thoughts and feelings, and what's hers and what's someone else's, and whose thoughts are these, and are these even mine? And it will feel so overwhelming that there will be a lot of confusion. This is where a lot of women find me here, and jump on a call with me and jump into one of my programs or containers or communities, because of that overwhelm, being so open and not understanding how to balance that, and really what the energetic layers are behind that is the fragmentation in the energetic field. And there are so many ways to heal them, and that it's really more simple than we think. And that's really a main thing that I teach women to do. Okay. A second point here is, you're highly sensitive to energy. You're also incredibly intuitive, right? They come one and the same. They can't be separated. And your intuition can feel more like a burden, because it will be so noisy. Think of all those channels open, right? It'll be so noisy to even tune into, that you're just going to want to put headphones on, like sound canceling headphones that also block out energetics and anything energetic, and just want to be like not want to hear anything. Because where do you begin when you're open to all that? It's like, where do I even start? How do I even start to decode this or read this energetic language or integrate any of this? I don't even know what I want to integrate, or how to even fully do that. And that will happen. That's one of the key signs, is when your intuition feels really noisy and overwhelming. It's because your integration practice and moments to do that is being skipped. It's not there. It's not present. We need it more. We need it more integrated into our lives and in our schedules. The third point here of how to recognize this, and what the cost is of always being accessible in this way, keeping ourselves so open, is we have this subtle exhaustion that is always with us. It's no matter how much sleep, how much rest, how many healing modalities or appointments that we get to and we put in our schedule, or carve out time for ourselves, we just always feel this subtle exhaustion in ourselves. And it's because we're never fully returning all the way back to ourselves, putting ourselves back into wholeness and closing off those channels intentionally. And it doesn't mean we have to close them all off, but we are being very intentional with which ones we leave open and which ones we temporarily close off, because we just need a break to integrate what's going on in there before we let anything more through, and which ones we close off for good. So keeping ourselves constantly accessible keeps our energy circulating outwards, and integration is what brings that all back home to yourself and puts you back into a state of wholeness. And this is from my lived wisdom of moving through this as a highly sensitive woman, intuitive woman, growing a soul-led business, having a personal life and personal relationship and kids, and doing all the things in my work. This is phase 2 usually, but it really is something that we learn second. But it is an integral, pivotal practice, education, and understanding that carries through every single process that I have throughout the whole process and throughout our lives, anything that we do. This phase right here is one of the foundational things to do. And I call it clearing integration, because as we close those doors, right, we learn how to do that. We are clearing out energy. We're clearing out energy, not only in our lives, in our energetic fields. And that feels like we can breathe again. It feels like, oh my God, I can take a breath. That feels so good. And we're able to grow our capacity, and we're able to integrate more, and then understand that those channels are constant moving parts that we are in connection with. And when we are unaware of that, we can so many intuitive women can unknowingly really, I like to think of energy as electricity. I do this all the time. This is how I teach it inside of my courses and programs, is we can really short circuit ourselves, right? We're not allowing ourselves to take a moment where we can receive all of it and integrate and step into our full power and capacity. There's just too many things open, and we will just be in a short circuit always. And that's where it really does feel exhausting that way. So what this phase allows my students, myself, and my one-on-one clients do is it allows emotional and energetic residue to naturally clear. We have to be in so much trust of what our energy fields are its natural state is and ability is to heal. And it requires reduced access, then that will always allow your capacity to expand. So anybody who is wanting to create new wealth, love, relationships, timelines, ideas into their life, just expand into anything, this phase is a non-negotiable. And women can start to feel so much more clarity when these practices are introduced, because I want you to think of, I mean, you can feel it already, right? How we can feel so overwhelmed, which would cause us, by having all that open and not really integrating, and that would cause us to feel overwhelmed, which would cause us to feel really, really stuck in our lives. That would start to translate into that, because we wouldn't have enough energy flowing and breathing room to allow newness to come in, new energy, new experiences, new ways of expanding and growing our capacity, by constantly being overwhelmed by all that. So this is where women can really start to feel unstuck in their lives, and it's amazing to witness. And it happens in stillness. It happens in intentionally knowing we need to step away and close these gates in order to process everything. And then we come back and we jump right back in, and we know, okay, I feel good now. I can open myself up to integrate more. And that's how we continuously grow our capacity and step into our soul-led mission, and do it in a way that feels safe and nurturing and loving and really in flow with us, and that makes sense to us, and in our power. This is how we call our power back. So I've mentioned a little bit about this already throughout, but I really do want to just highlight a little bit more of how this can show up in real life time, so that you can get a really good bird's eye view of this. It's going to, I think, soften the edges a little bit and help you integrate this episode even more, and this understanding, this truth. So one way this would show up is that you start to feel really off, and maybe it builds up over time and you really don't know why. There's no real, and sometimes it does come, I was going to say, a real experience or set point, or before and after of an event that happened, and then you feel really off, and then you need to integrate. But sometimes it just comes from not having a really big event that happened that determined you feeling off, but you just slowly start to feel really off. That's how it would show up. Another way is you need a lot of quiet time after conversations with people. It's like, even just talking to people can start to feel very overwhelming for you. And there's this like need to pull back and go get quiet and put yourself in a little cave where you can just recharge. That's where we were at our tipping point, and we need to just pull ourselves back. It's another sign. We need to integrate everything else before we can even re-enter into conversations or relationships, or even speaking our truth and providing advice or help. That's where this would be key. And if you are helping others heal, and you are in the spiritual space and building a spiritual led business, another way this would show up is a pull to withdraw without an explanation. Again, we need to just withdraw ourselves, but we don't. Maybe there's an event. Maybe we can put it down to a few things of why we think we need to withdraw. But this need to just want to pull ourselves back and withdraw inward and not go out and socialize and even maybe pull back from work or our personal engagements or exchanges without understanding why. That would be the first beginning parts of that. And then always listen to that. If you have a need to withdraw, there's a reason for that. There's something that needs to come through or something that needs to be integrated by you. And we don't always, I want to say this because this is so important. We don't always need to know exactly what it is we are processing and integrating. We just need to trust that whatever it is, whether we understand it or not, or have clear instructions about what it is, that it is happening for a reason. And our energy fields are intelligent and know how to do that, and to trust yourself in that process. And I've already said these two, but anything with the nervous system where you're freezing up, you're fawning, you're in the need to fight or flight, anything like that, that is integration. You need to integrate, okay? You need to understand what's going on there and go inward and pause. Constant exhaustion, which is something that I already highlighted, but I'm going to mention it here again because it's real. It's a real one. That's a big one. And I think not knowing why we're exhausted is what causes more exhaustion. So hopefully this pieces some things together for you, builds a bridge between the two so that you can really come back home to yourself with just that alone. And people can think that when we pull in, and we can even have this voice in our head, but maybe really isn't our voice, right? Maybe it's someone else's voice, that when we go inward and we take that time for ourselves, that we're avoiding life and we're avoiding responsibilities and we're just in a state of avoidance. And in some ways, in some cases, that can be true. But most of the time, for highly sensitive women, intuitive women, it's your nervous system really needing you to pause, to integrate. It's your own energetic intelligence speaking here, giving you clues, giving you hints. And it's our job to really trust that, lean into that, trust ourselves more than anything. It's just a gentle reminder that integration is an act of self-trust. It's being self-led. It's understanding your pauses don't need to make sense logically. If it's happening, if it's showing up, that we trust that inevitably. And you don't owe constant availability to anybody. Okay, that doesn't equate to love. You don't need to explain why you're pausing to yourself or anybody else. We just trust our own energetic intelligence and design. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's because you are highly sensitive and you are more open. And that requires so much compassion with yourself and understanding that your needs will be different for beautiful reasons. I'm just trusting that. Alrighty. Thank you always, always for being here, sharing your energy with me, being in this world, being in these communities, and receiving this and my education and my energy and everything I show up to do and why I'm here on the planet doing my soul-led mission stuff and helping other women do it too. Alrighty, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.